All right, so I'm here with Randy. Randy worked with me for about 4 or 5 months and had an insane transformation. Pretty much lost, 30 pounds within, 100 days, which was incredible to see. So I want to walk through, Randy's journey, how he felt, some of the things that unlocked this for him and what his experience was. So Randy, yeah, give me just a little bit of a backstory and kind of like what you were dealing with in the past and how you found me and kind of some of your experience of what happened working with me.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. I've been trying to get my weight down for quite a while, and I've been okay. I do pretty well in the gym on my own and following some workouts online and stuff, but I was never able to combine the two, diet with the workouts. I'm constantly, following people and looking online and stuff. And I've worked with people before, and a lot of it works for a while. And then it's just like, once the time's up, then, I found you through Instagram, just scrolling. And the way you talk about your metrics and just the things that you do differently, it really piqued my interest. So I thought I'd give it a shot. And so, yeah, what key for me was getting that diet piece in addition to the workouts being laid out for me. I think I told you in the very beginning, I'm a person that I do better when you tell me what to do. Like, here it is, do this. Yeah, here's your calorie limit, do this, and I don't have problems following directions. So that's pretty much how it went.
Yeah, dude. And you were really adhering, you executed everything you were asking of. And I mean, the results kind of show for it in that sense. Yeah. So what was it that you were really struggling with before you worked with me? What was like really driving you crazy?
What was driving me crazy was just not realizing, calorie intake. It wasn't driving me crazy. I just wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to it.
Mhm.
But, I would get stronger. The more I'd weight I would lift, or the more I'd work out, I would just bigger. But, I'd also get fatter, really, because I would eat more. And I just didn't know how to control it or how to address it, really. And for me, my big issue was a lot of, you can see from the photos, a lot of my excess weight was visceral. And I really started to think about longevity. And, that's the worst kind of fat right there. So health was a big motivator for me.
For sure. And what was it like working with me and Seth that you felt was the biggest piece that unlocked everything for you?
The biggest piece, I think, the simplicity. I think it wasn't something where I had to, meal prep for a whole week and spend hours in the kitchen. You really broke it down into making it simple and explaining it in a way that made sense. And of course, the workouts being laid out for me, it's like, here it is. This is what you do. And, just attacking it.
Yeah. So it took out a lot of the like thinking and stress and decision of it. You just showed up and knew exactly what you're doing every day.
Yeah, exactly. But if I try to do it on my own, it's like, okay, where do I start? And then what do I do on top of what do I eat? And
Yep.
Yeah, just how it laid out for me was key.
Yep. Because I think most people, they overthink the entire thing and they feel like they have to do a lot more work than they really need to, right? That's sort of similar to what you experienced.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you combine the knowledge of what you're taking in versus what you're putting out, it's really not that much. I mean, it's really not that hard to understand. I think, like, including myself, so many people out there, we just don't realize what we need minimum versus what we actually take in until you start tracking it. And I've never done that before.
Yeah, but it really opens your eyes of being like, wow. And that whole nutrition portion control part, it's just so valuable because it gives you all the information you need and kind of controlling the energy in and showing us what kind of energy we're doing out. And it's actually a lot more simple than people thought. Like, you're an example for when you start logging in MyFitnessPal, it's really not that complicated, right? It's not that tedious from going through and doing it. Is that what you found?
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of people are probably the same as me. We eat a lot of the same things every day anyway.
Mhm.
I have a standard breakfast that I eat. And so once you get that logged in, and it's just like, it just becomes pretty routine.
Is it helpful working with us and giving you some kind of meal variation and showing you some of those high protein, low calorie efficiency items?
Yeah, definitely. Spreadsheet that came in handy. And then just the idea of how to shop, going to Costco or, wherever you're going and looking for the place to find the foods that are going to help you. Yeah, protein intake was key for me. I have a huge sweet tooth, but once you start dialing it in and increasing that protein, that those cravings start to go down. And for me, that was huge. It was a big deal for me.
Yeah, well, you can see, I mean, it's incredible what really happened with that. And when you're getting that protein up, you're getting that appetite satiation, and the cravings for the sugar isn't much more tolerable, much more manageable. And that's a big key component of it. So you kind of mentioned a little bit, you've worked with coaches or trainers in the past. Is that correct?
Yeah, different types of different programs out there. But like I said, one of the programs I was doing was, it was a lot of meal prepping, a lot of, time in the kitchen. And I just, I hate to use that as an excuse, but, I can't spend 8 hours in the kitchen one day for the rest of the week. And with you guys' program, I didn't have to do that. I mean, there was prep involved. It wasn't something that was unmanageable.
That's awesome. And along those lines, I wanted to ask you, what was the biggest or some of the things that separated me and Seth in our coaching from kind of what what you've experienced in the past?
I think the community you guys have built. I wasn't really super involved in the discussions, a lot of the calls, but I could go back and go through the threads and read everything and just see everybody else's progress.
Mhm.
Just knowing that you're not the only one out there. You guys being so accessible, it's just really motivating and it really allowed me to stay on track and keep on top of things.
That's awesome. And was it helpful to kind of like our unique mechanism of what we do with metrics? Did that really make things, I know we touched on it a little bit, was that something you felt was much different approach that other coaches used? And how did that play out for you in the way you did things?
Yeah, I think a lot of the work is what you guys do behind the scenes for individual, but the fact that putting it all together, and like I said, with the workouts and the calories and the burn and all that stuff, it just everything just seemed to work together. And as I was going through it just like I was getting stronger and I was losing weight at the same time. A lot of the times it seemed like it was just happening. I wasn't even trying,
Mhm.
which is really cool.
That's awesome. So talk a little bit about like with your work schedule, like you're a busy guy, pharmacist, obviously you've got a lot on your plate with work. How was it working with us in terms of balancing work and still committing and prioritizing your fitness?
I really didn't have any difficulties adhering to the program. But my schedule it's not a set schedule. So, one day I'll work, a 7 to 5:30, and then 2 days later I can be 4 p.m. to 2:30 a.m.,
Mhm.
but it takes some discipline on yourself. For myself, I had to just look at what I had to do for the day, make sure I had my food ready to go. If you can do that, you just put the work in, do what you're told to do. It works.
Awesome. That's good to hear. So let's talk a little bit about kind of some benefits that you felt. Like, how did you feel before this, either mentally, physically, spiritually, health wise, and how do you feel now in that transformation?
A lot of it was sluggishness. Of course, carrying around 30 extra pounds you're going to feel it. But, a lot of brain fog was lifted, even though, like I mentioned, I pretty well in the gym on my own. But, of course, when nobody's following me or watching me or coaching me, it's easy to take days off and, stuff like that. So being on schedule, on track and adhering to it, I just made me perform better at work. I was more focused, more clear,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
everything just kind of builds off of the other.
And then what about like confidence wise? Like, do you feel like a big boost in that now that, you're 30 pounds lighter, you're kind of almost having abs again, things of that nature?
Yeah, especially at into your 50s, it's people start to notice. It definitely boosts confidence.
100%. So, in your whole experience with it, like, what was your kind of like your favorite part about it?
Changes in the scale, but just having people notice. And then as you know, now my wife is really getting focused, so the idea that people can see what I've done and what I'm doing and start to ask questions. I want my whole family to be healthy, and now that my wife's working a program, it's we feed off of each other, so it's.
And that's awesome that, your wife Dana actually joined in after seeing, what you were getting interested in. Now you guys can work at it together. And also what I wanted to ask you is, besides just like the objective results, it's obviously it's great losing the 30 pounds and appearance wise, having more muscle and being stronger. Do you feel like you learned like key integral parts, like knowledge base? So you feel like you have this tool set accomplished? Like you weren't just like kind of going through blind. You felt like you really learned something?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's an eye opener when you start tracking your food and realizing, what you actually or how much you actually need versus what you take in.
Mhm.
And I feel like I'm at a comfortable weight now where I can manage and maintain. My body seems pretty happy where it is. I don't have a fear right now of ballooning back up.
Right.
I also feel like I have the tools if I want to. I can continue to go lower and go down and improve the physique a little bit more if I like.
Exactly. 'Cause I feel like a lot of coaches and trainers, they promise like, oh yeah, this is a way you can be, sustainable. It's a way that you'll always be able to do this and et cetera, et cetera. And the thing is most people I see, they work with a trainer for, a couple of months, they get some initial results, they plateau out, and then they stop working with them and then they gain it all back. You saying that, do you feel like you truly have taken something now that you can just turn it back on whenever you want? And you're also better at kind of balancing and managing your intake just because you know it all better?
Yeah, for sure. In the past, once I was done working with somebody, it's like, okay, well, that's the program. If you're not doing it, then you're kind of lost in space. But with you guys, I feel like I've got the tools now. I'm kind of looking forward to moving forward and seeing how things go. Have that fear of, just being lost.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing, man. Like, I mean, the pictures like show it, for itself and losing 30 pounds in that amount of time and how dialed in you were with everything. So I wanted to ask you, like, with your expectations, like kind of coming in to working with me and then to what actually happened, was it a better experience than you thought? Was it worse? Somewhere in the middle? Like, can you explain and just talk a little bit about that?
It was completely better. I didn't know what to expect. I was hoping to kind of get in shape and maybe, lose a few pounds, feel a little bit better. I didn't think I was going to lose 30 pounds and
Mhm.
gain muscle on top of that.
That's
It
awesome.
exceeded my expectations for sure.
What was the main thing about Seth and I that you felt was surprising or different that you didn't think was going to happen?
I think just the fact that you guys are different, but you work together. I think Seth does some things that you don't, you do some things that he doesn't. Having you both together, and the connectivity that you guys have with your people, your clients that you work with, your accessibility. It's you guys are always there and very motivating.
That's awesome. And I appreciate you saying that. That's great. And what advice would you give to people, or say someone was like on the fence about working with us? What would you tell them?
Just do it. I mean, think about your health. Yeah, you're going to lose weight and you're going to look better. And I think what you guys do too is you give a lot of information about longevity, and it's about living better, not just about trying to look good, but in all aspects of life, be healthier. So if you're on the fence, I mean, I would say just go for it, jump in and do it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Is there anything else that we didn't cover or you feel like you want to elaborate more on about your whole experience with this kind of coaching?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. Just like I said, I'm excited to keep going with the tools that I have. I mentioned that if I ever feel like I'm falling off, jump back in and I'll dial you right back up.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
You guys have been so good that, I just feel like a lifestyle now that I continuing to go on the path that's laid out for me.
For sure. So you feel like you're in a nice, like, balanced place where you're balanced with work, you understand your nutrition, you know how to tweak those factors. So it's just a livable longevity lifestyle that you have now.
Yeah. And, even like the past week, you talk about the diet breaks, or, the 80-20, it's okay. My holidays I wasn't the strictest on my holidays. But to have that mindset, if you live by the 80-20 rule, then you're going to be fine.
Yeah. That's the thing. People overthink the strict rigidity of it and realize that you're just shifting the direction, right? So if you're tilting the direction down and you're moving at that at a constant rate, and then all of a sudden you have a break, like with a holiday or whatever, and you just shift up with consuming more, you just go back to shifting back towards it. So it's just kind of keeping the everything line to move the right direction at the right pace, right? And now do you feel like you have a good comprehension of that and being able to manipulate those factors in a way that works for you? We're not doing tons and tons of work.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I started in October, which was right before the holidays. I was able to manage through Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Super Bowl Sunday, and still keep on track.
Yeah, you were actually even able to have some of those cheat meals and refeed days, and it didn't throw us off. You were able to jump right back in after and just continue on with the progress. So talk about that experience a little bit more.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I kind of thought to myself, and this is I think what a lot of people do is, well, holidays are coming up, maybe I'll just wait till afterwards. But I figured, what, that I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I'm going to just go for it. I didn't deprive myself when I wanted to, enjoy a meal, a bigger meal, or whatever, a treat here and there, but just get right back on and focus, because everything was still there. My workouts were still there, and my calorie allowance,
the structure
were still there. The structure was still there. Yeah.
Yep. So 100%. It's just about jumping right back in. So man, that's awesome, dude. Thank you so much for sharing your whole experience. And I think this is going to be very inspiring for a lot of people, because it's almost, you have to remove that limiting belief for themselves. They feel like something's wrong with them. Correct? Did you ever feel that way? By the way, you felt like something was just not right, or it could have been something else, anything of that nature? Because people do feel that way at times.
I didn't feel like anything was not right. I just felt like things could be better, and I just didn't know how to get to that point or get on that track.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. And yeah, man. So I think just your transformation alone is going to be really inspiring for people, to showing, what's possible, even, being a business, or like busy with work as a pharmacist, and, still losing the 30 pounds, having some of that balance, and feeling like now you've got that lifestyle and structure, which is the real, main value, because you're always going to have that, the rest of your life. So appreciate you, coming on, and, it's going to be a pleasure seeing how things play out and moving forward with all this. So thanks so much, Randy, for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys have been great. Highly recommend. If you're on the fence, man, just do it.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.